Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share another scrapbook process video with you. Today's layout that I am sharing was created for Cocoa Vanilla Studio, and it was inspired by the mood board that you can see there, which is our March monthly challenge. Now, this mood board was designed by Laura Alberts, and you can see that it features a bit of a celestial theme. There's some stars there and there's some planets. There's a quote there that says, "The only limits are you." This was inspired by our most recent collection, which is called No Limits. And it does feature a bit of space-themed imagery in it, but not so much that I would call this an entirely themed collection. It is designed as a masculine collection, but I think you could use it for just about anything. So you can see that 12 by 12 pattern paper that I am working with there. That's called Latitude, and it is one of my favourite pattern papers from this collection. You can see it's got those beautiful painted style stripes, and I really wanted to use that as my background, my border, because I was going to be doing a mixed media layout on some cardstock, and I just wanted to add that patterned paper border to my page. Now, I'm starting off here with a Distress Oxide, and the colour is Mustard Seed. So I just swiped it onto my messy mat, and then I've got my favourite number 4 brush, which I moistened with a little bit of water, but not too much. I didn't want it too wet. Mixed it up onto the mat, and then I just brushed it lightly across the page so that you could still see the brush strokes. Now, the reason I chose to use this colour, the Mustard Seed, was I needed to bring more yellow into this page simply because of the photos that I was documenting. Now you can see I've got a series of 3 photos there of my son and his cube. It's not a Rubik's Cube. It's the same design as a Rubik's Cube. It's another brand. I'm not entirely sure what it is. But when I took the photos of him, you can see that a lot of the yellow was facing forward, and I really needed to make sure that that colour was incorporated onto my page. Now, that's a little bit different to the yellow that features in the collection, because the yellow in the collection is a warmer tone, whereas this was more of a bright yellow. So I wanted to make sure that I tied it in with the right tone of yellow. So what I've done is I've matted my photos there just with a little bit of cardstock. They've all got some scrap cardboard on the back of them already, which will help pop them up from the page. And now I'm looking to put some anchor pieces onto my page just while my mixed media background is drying off. Well, the first layer of it anyway. So I'm just checking. I pull it in occasionally there just to check for placement. I've got the middle part of that Latitude paper, which usually when I do cut the guts out of a piece of paper like this, I tend to try and incorporate that same pattern somewhere on the page, and it just helps give your page a more of a cohesive feel. So that other pattern paper that you can see there, that black one with the star print on it, is one of my absolute favourites from this collection. And when I did my unboxing, this was one of the ones that I was drawn to the most. So I wanted to use that. I had a leftover piece of that, and I wanted to use that underneath my photos. Now, you can see that I am doing some stenciling over the top of that Distress Oxide that I'd already brushed onto the page. I'm using a second Distress Oxide there, and the colour was Chipped Sapphire. I used a small stencil, and that's from Dusty Attic. And to apply the Distress Oxide through the stencil, I actually used a makeup sponge, and I just sponged it really lightly because I didn't want the colour too heavy or too bold. I just wanted it to sort of fade into the background. Now, over the top of that, I am adding yet another layer, and I am using a stamp there just with some black ink. Now, that stamp is from Darkroom Door, and it's called Mesh. So it has like a mesh texture on it. It's a textural stamp. Now, you would have noticed, and if you didn't notice, I'm about to point it out, that on the back of that stamp, you can see that I've drawn a line on it. This is simply because this stamp is an odd shape, because I cut away all of the background edge of it when I got it, because I don't like it when it sort of touches on your page. And I trimmed that down as tight as I could. And also because the pattern on the front of this stamp isn't exactly linear, but when I put stamps like this on my page, I don't like to have crooked crisscross patterns. I like them to be sort of relatively straight. So what I actually did was I picked out one of the lines that feature in the pattern and that goes straight across, and I added some little marks on the side of the stamp, and then I joined those two little marks up back with a pen on the back of it, so that when I place that stamp on the page, I know where the straight part of it is. I'm not guessing, I'm not moving it around the page and then stamping with it and going, oh no, that didn't come out how I wanted it to. I know exactly where those horizontal lines sit on that stamp, and I can get them placed exactly where I want them. That's a really good tip if you use rubber stamps that you can't see through. Just put some sort of, guide or line to mark it on the back for yourself. So moving ahead with my layers here, you can see that I've also added a yellow paper doily, because again, I wanted to bring in some more of that yellow colour, and I often use paper doilies in my layouts, and here I've used the paper doily to not only add some extra visual interest to the layers behind the photos, but it just also helps what I have chosen as my feature photo, which is that photo of him smiling with his cube. It just helps that to stand out. It signifies that that's a little bit different to the other smaller photos that are on the page, and it helps to bring the viewer's eye into that one first. Now, I've also added some frayed gauze in underneath my photos just for a bit of soft texture. And what I'm actually doing now is just adding some small pieces of torn washi tape. Now, if you're anything like me, you've got a huge stash of washi tape, and you don't get it out often enough. Now, this washi tape that I used here, it's got like just a black sort of chevron print on it, and I just love tearing it up and using small pieces of it just to add extra interest to a page. And I really did want to bring in a bit of extra black into this page just to tie in with my son's glasses frame and the fact that he had black on his shirt, and tie in with the black patterned paper that I had used behind the photos. Now, I've stuck those photos down over the top of my gauze, and I've made sure I've used a nice strong adhesive to hold them on there. So I am using my Helmer 450 adhesive, which is my sort of liquid glue of choice when I need to stick things down that need to be on the page strongly. So I went ahead and I also stuck some glue under the edges. After I'd attached those papers to the page using my stapler, I've then gone around with my Scotch tacky glue and just added a bit more page just to add some extra stability. So now it's time to move ahead to embellishments. Now, in my bowl there, I've actually got the die cut ephemera pack from the No Limits collection, and on the left hand side there, I've got the accessory sticker sheet. Now, given that this is only the second 12 by 12 layout that I've made using this collection, and I am still familiarising myself with all the pieces of it, I did get a little bit distracted, like sorting through things, and I had to keep looking at things to know exactly what I had to work with. That's also true because there are so many embellishments with this collection. It is amazing. So you can see that I'm just rifling through the bowl there, and I really did want to go with a lot of blue embellishments for this page. So I'm picking through and choosing some blue ones that may possibly work. I don't know if I'm going to use them on the page yet, but it sort of narrows down my decision and it stops me from having to dig through the entire bowl when I'm looking for something. So I've used that large star die cut on the left-hand side of the page, which has to be one of my favourite pieces from this ephemera pack. I love those large stars that have the centres cut away like that, so that you can still see the layers and the details that are on the page underneath. Over the top of that, I added that square out of this world sticker. Now, disclaimer here, generally I find myself struggling with square stickers. I don't mind rectangles, but squares is something that I often have trouble getting onto the page when it's a sticker. But given that I had applied these photos and there was already quite a lot of geometric shapes gathered together there, I thought this was a great opportunity to get a square sticker onto my page. Now, the fact that it said out of this world and it features a little doodled version of Earth, I thought it would tie in really well with that image from the mood board that had the photo of the universe on it. I thought, yeah, that was a good segue to make there. Now, I have also added a die cut ticket down the side of my photo, and I have chosen a circular journaling block that I'm going to tuck in underneath that photo of the close-up photo of the cube there. I've also chosen my title from the die cut titles pack. So I've chosen the words "So Epic," and I've just put a heap of foam tape on the back of it just to pop it up slightly from the background. Now, this was something I also did with that Out of This World square sticker. I added 2 layers of foam tape behind it just to bring it up to the same height as my photos. So, stuck the title down, I've got that sticker down, I've got my journal block, and now I'm looking for some little things that I can continue to cluster around my photos. I took my journal tag off camera there and I just added my handwritten journaling with a felt pen, and now I've just stuck it in place. I found that cute little hand die cut there, which I am also going to stick down and just cluster it together with the journaling block. Now, one of the other things that I did do was I grabbed out the pattern paper that has the large star print on it. And forgive me because the name escapes me right now, the name of the paper. But I took that aside and I cut out a few extra little stars. I chose ones all that featured blue in them somewhere because, again, I wanted to keep those blue embellishments, you know, coming through on the page. I chose ones that were different sizes, and now I'm just going to cluster all the stars. You can see that I'm building 3 main embellishment clusters there, and you will see that they form a visual triangle around the focal point of my page, which is that main photo there. Well, actually the second photo falls within it as well. So you can see that I've got the star up the top, I've got stars to the left, and then I've got stars down in the bottom right there. Now I'm just digging through a few of those other little die cut embellishments there just to see what else I can add onto the page. I chose that little lightning bolt, and again I added some foam tape to it just to provide some separation between the layers. I found a little die cut arrow so that I could connect the title with the photo and the reason for the layout. I try to do this as often as I can. I often use arrows. I love things pointing into photos, and if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I love to stick things directly on my photos as well. So you can see that I've added a couple of stars directly onto a couple of those photos. Now, what I've pulled out here are the wood buttons, and I absolutely love the wood buttons. Now, the wood buttons are a great way of adding a bit of extra texture to your page because they've got that beautiful natural wood base, and then they have the epoxy centers in the middle of them. So I've just chosen 3 small size wood buttons, and again you can see that I have added those in a triangular shape. Now, they're not exactly where the stars were. This is what they call a secondary visual triangle, so they still form a triangle in a different spot. Along the bottom of that middle photo, I've added the little phrase "too legit to quit." Now, that was fussy cut from the A5 version of the cut apart sheet, so it is a smaller size, and it was perfect for my smaller photo. And my favorite thing from this collection, those puffy stickers that you can currently see me adding to the page. If you have a pre-order in for this collection and you haven't received it yet, my advice is to order extra of these puffy stickers because you are going to want them. Order them while you can. Don't wait for your order to come and then go, I wish I got more of them. Just order them now because they are amazing. They have a range of different size stars on them, all different colours that tie in with the collection, and I love them so much. So to finish this page off, all I did was added some simple black splatters using some ink, and that was it. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch this video today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something from it. Like I say, don't hesitate to post your questions in the comments below, and I'm only too happy to help you out. If you like what you've seen today, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.